budgetary planning, some of the togging and scenarios, and assuming that would need to be semi-sophisticated at least. What sort of data would you feel like you would need sitting behind some of that to create accurate projections?
Are you talking about like user onboarding and the data that we would collect there?
With the sliders, things like the sliders and the budgetary planners and stuff like that. So kind of what data model would you feel you might need behind the scenes to make that to give useful information, as an example?
One idea we had was implementing some historic data and giving people a tool that they can, for example, say, if this was 1950, what would have happened if I started investing then, rather than trying to predict the future, because this can make the learners feel led on, or make them think that they can make a lot of money really quickly by investing, which could not be true. And this is why we also intend to inform them with the articles, but also do this historic data simulations.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. And it'd be like, what type of data, where would you get it from? So it's better the feasibility and how smart that would need to get, obviously, for it to go beyond the basics. But I think that's a good foundation. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Any other questions? Doesn't look like it.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Moving on to the prime movers.
Hi everyone, my name's Matt from the Prime Movers. Share my screen. Okay, can you see the slides?
Yeah, not in presentation mode though.
Okay, no, I won't. I'll present like this, if I may. Okay, so our submission is around creating a tool for engaging with young people. In a different way, basically, as opposed to slides being delivered in the school classroom in the lessons. So very similar agenda to everyone else. A few slides here just to talk about our background, and then half of the my talk will be on the demo. So our kind of what we spent most of yesterday thinking about was about measuring the efficiency or the effectiveness of the content and the training and the materials that the charity sends out and gives to the target groups. So very similar to what the first group were talking about. Actually, we detected that there's not a lot of data collection around, how effective the program is, and it's vitally important to the charity to know this, because in order to obtain more funds to continue their cause and to prove to people what they're doing is the right thing. So we were kind of like aware of this and wanting to pick out more of the data points originally. So we spent most of the day thinking about that, thinking about the problem, and talking with Chantel and the others in the charity in the office. So what our plan was to have a quiz before and after, benchmark, and then analyze the data in collection. We looked into what was going on at the moment, and then we looked into tools, SurveyMonkey and Google Forms, all things like that. And we started playing around with Google Forms and the API integration that allows into different various forms, and seeing if we can analyze the data in a particular way. But by the end of the day, we kind of changed our mind on this. We flipped it, and we've gone with a different route. And the reason the reason that we did that was because it got to a point where we were thinking the solution's not really that viable. It started to get a bit more complicated, and long term, accessing the different forms, perhaps for the quizzes, it will be actually quite hard to use. So we were starting to get the impression more and more it's not going to be viable, and it's getting a bit too complicated. And not only that, you can get a lot of the data just by using the Google Forms itself. So we were thinking, okay, how much value are we actually trying to add there? So yeah, so we flipped it, and what we decided to focus on was more about Can we deliver the material in a slightly different way to aid children's learning journey? So we focused on one of the target groups, children, and thinking that we should make a simulation game. So something that a child would play and make decisions about financial questions as they arise, and let them see kind of the consequences of that. And what we wanted to do is make a little random game, and this would aid the conversations with teachers, instructors in schools. It can be maybe set as homework to do offline, you know, and in schools really. So that's what we were going with, and we liked it because we thought that it would provoke conversations with the children and the teachers. So we were thinking something like this very quickly. A child makes the selection, what they want to do as a job, and then ask various questions as the time is simulated going on. And at the end, it will give a summary of their money pots, and it would ask questions like, how much do you want to save? And then there would be events that happen, things break down, unexpected expenses. Where do you want to draw that money from? What pots and stuff? And then that would ask more questions, and we're hoping that the teachers would support the children in this kind of little activity, this little tool that maybe they could run in during the school, and it would provoke these conversations and get the kids more engaged, because we're feeling that children, they look at presentations in a school, some turn off, some have different like learning kind of requirements and stuff. Some children learn better when they're talking and challenged and questioned. So that's where we were going with our submission. So I'll show you a demo of what we have. And this is it. So here's a website. It's a one page. There's a link to FLIC material at the top. The links to their web page and materials, and it will be presented in this type of way. So learn about the impact of your decisions. You know, your actions have consequences in a fun and interactive way. So get children thinking about that. So what we've got here is a format like that. We had other ideas in mind, and you get given a salary here, not choice of a profession yet, but you get given a salary and you choose how much you want to save. So you kind of make a choice there. And every month it will pop up with a tip to give you a random tip or piece of advice, and that kind of aids learning as well. So you would be able to select the bills maybe on what you want. There was some material given by the charity about different types of bills, what they cost. So you select that and you click next, and then has an impact off your balance and your savings. So you go along each month progressing, and then it will throw up different events. So this one, your washing machine is broken. It will cost the following amount. How would you like to repay the expense? And then you can choose whether it's savings, your current account, etc. So you continue like this, and your totals keep accumulating. And we were thinking about savings, that every month maybe it would accumulate with interest and compound interest. And we were thinking about having another pot of investments, and that one would vary differently, and that would spur a conversation on as well. So that's it. It continues to the end, and then we get a summary at the end. One extra thing that we were doing was we wanted to experiment and try something new with AI. We're interested to see what that could give, if anything. So we was using the ChatGPT API, shared given access to. So we were thinking, can we add in questions here or let children type questions. So this was kind of experimenting with thinking about it. How can we personalize it? I think we have it on a setting of a 13-year-old or 10-year-old. So we've got a drop down here of questions that we pre-selected here. So you can send a question in and you get a response back in here. So wait a couple of seconds and then it comes back with what's come back from the AI. So we were playing around with this for our learning and experimentation, but not likely to be essential for this simulation game. So yeah, it's come back. You can do other things as well. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Is there any questions?
I've got one, Matt.
Sure.
So how do you obviously you're targeting the Gen Z generation, so how do you think what's the plan trying to keep them engaged, because there's a lot of text to read?
Yeah, so the idea is that we kind of ran out of time here, so we'd want to move things around, change the layout. So we would hide a lot of this text. This wouldn't be here. This would be kind of expanded if you wanted to read the rules of the game or somewhere else. So the text would be limited, but the idea about engagement was we would throw more random events up that children might like. So, you know, your subscription to Roblox has run out. Do you want to continue paying this? Things like that. And more pictures basically in the questions to make it a bit more engaging. We only had time for these textual things, but we were thinking that to get it more engaging and more spontaneous, random. So we kind of think we've got like 10 different expenses that could occur, things breaking down, but it could be like a random amount. And if children did it in parallel in a classroom, obviously it would be not the same and randomized, so people would get different results and it would be a bit of fun that way.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I really like these sort of different spanners in the works, as it were, and I can see very much the potential to kind of make it a little bit shinier and more visual as we would develop something like that. I wonder I guess what's missing for me is what's the aim of the game? What's the reward at the end of it? What are we asking them to do? Are we asking them to save a large amount? Are we asking them to survive? Are we asking them to, what's the sort of, what are they working towards? Because I guess it might feel a little bit inconsequential without a reminder of the end goal. Yeah,
exactly. I asked actually this question in the discussions yesterday, thinking, okay, a young kid, they play a game, they end up after the year with minus £200, or they might make up, get to minus £300. It doesn't mean anything to them. They don't really care, right? So the kind of the USP of it should be that not that you're earning coins and like there's a competition, but kind of this learning through these different questions and kind of the critical thinking they might have to do in making these decisions, because it kind of promotes independent thinking, I think, as well. Children won't be asked questions like to make a decision, especially on financial things, or they'd probably be unlikely to have been asked kind of questions like this. So I think the worth of it is going through that learning journey and kind of experiencing that, being critical with their answers maybe, and challenging those answers, like, okay, why have you decided to get a mortgage on a house rather than rent it, and get that kind of discussion going more. But yeah, in terms of kind of what happens at the end and is there a goal, there's not really a right or wrong answer. We were also feeling that we shouldn't be too prescriptive or kind of advising what should be done, because everyone should have free choice. but it's more about understanding the kind of the impact, right? So I guess at the end, it produces a summary of your things, and maybe that's just uses the discussion piece with teachers. That's kind of where we were thinking, really. Any other questions? Oh, okay.
Thanks, Matt. We now move on to the onboarding Avengers. You guys ready?
Yep. Yeah. Hi, team. Hi.
And actually, the onboarding Avengers are with us from a hotel room because they have to fly back to Bangalore after this.
Yes.
A very special guest.
We want to take through this presentation.
And if your Wi-Fi isn't great, you can turn off your outgoing video if you want.
Yeah, so yes. Sorry. Okay. So basically, our topic is about FTFLIC, and tagline is empowering everyone in financial freedom. So the basic problem, what we understood yesterday after talking to FTFLIC team, is that the reachability to the people is what they're trying to explore. So that is a main problem. And one more problem is like the content, how we are going to provide to the people, what kind of content we can provide to the people, so that that would be interesting for them and keep them motivated to learn more things about that. So that is the core problem we understood from them. And we created a plan considering all these pain points. So first problem is reaching out to people. So reaching out to people is the main first thing how what we want to address. So the thing is, we have many many mediums to reach out to the people. One is like kind of community services, church services, and newspaper ads, toll-free numbers, and radio, podcast, and volunteering, and also some workshops. What we can do and conduct them to educate on this concepts. Also, we are also having an idea. Like what we are trying to do is we are trying to provide financial knowledge to them. We're not providing any financial plans to invest on something. We are giving an idea what kind of investments we have. I mean, we are giving basically a knowledge. So what we can do is if we can approach to the banks or any organizations to provide this content to their customers, it's free of that go through that. I mean, if anyone in UK, everyone will be having a bank account. So the particular bank, if you can talk to them and reach out to them and give an idea that we are kind of shows a service we are providing to teach people on the financial freedom. So if we can provide the content to them and reach out to them and give it to the people, maybe a message or maybe in the app itself as an ad where it will redirect to a particular page. So there are many ways we are trying to identify to reach out to the people, and basically we are trying to capture the leads. So how are we going to capture the lead? So if anyone interested in this, they just need to click a link, call a toll-free number, or we can go with old school way, throwing out the promptlets and just reach out to them, like call on this number, log into this website, or the bank's providing some links to show to get their interest on this. So that's how we are going to get the leads. And once we capture the leads, we are basically trying to capture a limited information like email ID, first name, last name, and we have so many leads. Then based on the leads what we have, we can design a plan for all these people, a kind of assessment program. So pre-assessment program where we want to understand where they stand with the current knowledge on the financial literacy. So what we're going to do is, with this approach, we're going to reach out to the people who shown the interest on asking few basic questions on the financial knowledge what they have. The simple question what we are showing here is, compound interest is an interest that you earn on the interest. What do you think? Yes, it is. No, it is. So we are giving a kind of conversation questions, not basically a typical questions like where it will be a long statement they need to read and understand. Instead of that, we are just questioning them. In a way, it would be a discussion to them. We are trying to understand the knowledge on this financial literacy. We need to capture a few questions, and we would like to keep the questions very short in number, like maybe a 10. So based on that, we are going to prepare a model behind to assess the results, assess the questions and the result what the user has provided. Based on that, we are going to provide curated content. So some content based on the knowledge what they have. So we are going to provide the content in a way. First of all, the content what FTFLIC is having is very great content. We have gone through the content. They have videos. They have very good slides. And what we want to enrich out of it is, why don't we have a kind of a story game with this concept, like a 2-minute video, just to demonstrate the topic. Like if you, what is investment? Is one, if you consider one topic, maybe we can have a story way of explaining things. Okay, so and so person X and Y doing a kind of they're doing a job and they want to invest some money for a particular thing. So what is this investment? So we can have a story base, and once the story is done, we will have a conversation type of questions with them. So A is doing this thing and B is doing this thing, and A wanted to buy a mobile phone with the amount he has, and also he has a long time commitment, and B is also having the same amount of salary. He is more focused on the investments and he want to save a lot of money. So we will ask the user, what do you think? A is doing the right thing or B is doing the right thing? We are trying to keep the user curious to know what would the result be based on these questions. So we are going to curate all this question. I mean, based on each topic we curate on the assessment result, we are going to ask this question, story-based questions, and we are going to get him involved into this course completely. And finally, we'll be having a quiz. The quiz would be like something like, again, it would be a kind of conversation rather than having the straight questions and getting his answers so that he has to read everything. Not like that, but it should be based on some conversation. What do you think? What do you suggest in this case? So kind of decision-based questions we will capture from this quiz, and based on that we'll be going to give a result. So based on the result what we get, we maybe in our program we can have a result-based decision. What we can do, either we can have a threshold value like maybe 80% or 75%. So based on the score, we can either guide them. Maybe your understanding on this particular content needs little more knowledge. Maybe the content we provided is little advanced for you. Maybe do you want to go through much more simpler version of this content? So what we can do is we'll redirect him to either he has a decision to redirect to the particular program again, wherever he is lacking, and we are going to provide more detailed way of story and with proper examples, and again it follows with the quiz. Or he can continue with that. Otherwise, he can skip and continue with the next topics, next courses, like next topics. So we are categorizing multiple topics based on the results what we capture, assessment result what we capture, and we're going to provide this. And once every topic is completed, we are going to provide some kind of gamification or some kind of quiz, which will keep the user very curious to know what will happen next, and take it further throughout the course. And also, once the course is done, we are also giving, if the user scores excellent, top in the course, we are going to provide the references. So already FLIC is having a lot of content. So if they want to go more in detail of the content, so we'll provide the content links as well. So user can click on that link and they can go in detail on the content. So, and also what we are trying to present in this slide is, so based on the content what we have, we are trying to build his knowledge on the investments as well, and also the knowledge in finance as well. So that's what we are trying to explain here. And yeah, that's it. Any questions?
I've got a question. So obviously this is relies heavily on curated content. Is the content solely from FLIC's website, or you'd be scraping the web for additional content? How do you go about that?
We will. The idea is not only reading. We are not going to use exactly the content provided, but we use that content and create a kind of story. The same content we are going to demonstrate in a story mode way, or maybe we can provide it as a animated way. In a way, we keep them motivated rather than providing a text and we ask him to go through and read. Instead of that, it will be a story mode way. So where we'll be having an interaction, continuous interaction with the user.
Thank you.
So is that you done, or were you going to show us a piece of functionality?
Sorry, we don't have any demo created, but we just had a idea, and definitely we would like to show if we had much time. Unfortunately, we didn't have much time to create a demo.
Okay, no worries. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Who's
you.
next on our list? We've got our back engineers now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Let me just get my screen share going. On the top, welcome.
Hey guys, we're the back engineers, and this is our solution to help FLIC deliver their content in a better way and increase engagement. Laurie, next slide, please. So the motivation for this, so when we went onto the website of FLIC, we found that it could become more interactive, which will help keep engagement much higher. Rebecca told us that during the investing games that they had, most of it was pen and paper. So we felt like we could automate that and maybe create a game. The new FLIC Learning Hub. So this is our overarching idea to help FLIC with their engagement. You'd have one single place for all learning content, like it is now. You would have self-guided learning. So each learner would be able to step through the courses. And as other teams have said, they would be able to gain feedback and maintain their journey. It would also allow teachers to track how various learners are going through their content. So if they see that one student is particularly struggling with one aspect of financial literacy, they could reach out to them and be like, hey, we noticed that you might need some help. These are other additional resources to bolster your knowledge. Also, if you wanted to come back year on year to keep improving or see any new content that FLIC has posted, the platform would allow you to do that. The main solution that we think is really beneficial is the interactive game, which we have developed, and that is our addition to this platform. And I will pass on to Sergio now, who will take you to the layout. And over to you, Sergio.
Yeah, so one of the main issues that we identified that no other